Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the SANAE BEER.EX. It is the third time, I think so. And to my talk about the Agile Workplace Academy. Darwinism, you know, the theory from Charles Darwin that not the strongest survive, rather they who can adapt faster. In the context of learning, that means that you must learn the new things faster, you must learn it just in time, and you must learn it on the workplace. In other words, the digital Darwinism and the VUCA world requires lifelong learning and adaptive learning strategies. In the next 30 minutes, I will give you an overview how we in Raiffeisen Bank International, short RBI, implemented the Agile Workplace Learning. So, who am I? My name is Rudolf. I am an Agile engineering coach at the Raiffeisen Bank International in Vienna, and together with my colleagues from the Agile Engineering Support Department, we support our colleagues in using appropriate Agile engineering practices, CI, CD, DevOps, test automation, and all this stuff. In addition to that, I'm an Agile Learning Guide, and since more than 2 years, I implement in RBI this workplace learning and the test automation academy. Yes, and I'm also the guild lead for test and test automation, and 6 times per year, I'm organizing the TestBustersNight in Vienna, remotely. And these are mini conferences for test and test automation. If you want to contact me, here you can find my LinkedIn details. So, let me start with a short introduction of RBI, that you know the context what I'm talking about. RBI is a conservative bank with more than 100 years of history, and Austria and Central Eastern Europe are our main markets. We have branches in 30 countries, and we have around 47,000 employees and around 7 million customers. As I said, RBI, a traditional conservative bank. Nevertheless, since more than 5 years, we are working on the Agile Transformation in RBI. And here we have a nice metaphor for that. And this is removing away from this fat, big, slow container ship, which is ruled by command and control, towards these small speedboats with agile teams. And in the meanwhile, we have around 400 teams, 400 speedboats with around 4,000 employees. And all of them must learn the new things faster. And the thing is, they must learn this on high speed, that they can control the speedboat in the rough banking business. And we found out that it is necessary to have a new learning approach. But why do we need a new learning approach? As I already said, we are living in a VUCA world, and this represents our new business reality. And this new reality needs new learning approaches. What is the VUCA world? VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And it is a world in which you never know what happens tomorrow, what happens next week. Think about Corona, think about all these things. And business in the VUCA world means that the companies have to compete in an environment that is characterized by continuous, fast, and unpredictable development. And one of the most important ways how knowledge workers are communicating with the VUCA world is through continuous learning. And allowing the employees to learn in action, to learn during their daily work is the key success factor here. The focus of learning in the VUCA world cannot be longer be these centralized offerings by the HR departments. Yeah, you know, when you come into the company, you get this bunch of paper, and then you can say, I want to have this Excel course and Winbird course and how to use the Internet Explorer and so on. Learning is more. And there is this 70-20-10 model, which is provides a good orientation. And this model says we learn around 70% in our daily work through challenges, through tasks and so on. Approximately 20% we learn through meetings and discussing things with others, with our colleagues, with our customers, and so on. And then 10% we learn through formal opportunities. Yeah, you know this. Yeah, Excel trainings, Winbird trainings, and so on. And here you can see which part of this generating the best impact for you, and this is learning on the job. We at Raiffeisen Bank International, we have different possibilities to learn new things. First, we have the individual trainings. That means if you find a training where you consider this is relevant for you, you can go to your boss, you can ask for permission, and hopefully you get it. Then we have our learning management system. Our learning management system, this is our centralized approach where our HR and learning department offers trainings. This is more business related, soft skills, and so on. And then we have the high potential program, and this program is structured to find talented people, talented employees, and to help them to grow. And then we have the Go IT Academy, and the Go IT Academy, this is the learning offers which comes from my division, in the division where I'm working, and these are training programs of automation, software development, agile engineering, cloud, and so on. What happens there? Yeah. And these programs are around 6 months long. Yeah, consists of 6 parts, and each of these has 3 days. Yeah, and all this comes with this fixed content, fixed schedule in classroom style. And remember the 70-20-10 model. You will recognize, hey, we do not have. We only have this informal, formal trainings. And what we did, we answered the VUCA world with 2 new approaches. First is the Agile Workplace Academy, and the second are the Agile Learning Guides. The Agile Workplace Academy brings together learning and work. And the goal is here to overcome practical challenges from your daily work. And then the Workplace Academy enables our colleagues to solve their problems. Yeah, so their daily challenges. Yeah, where they do not have an idea how to solve this. And then we have our Agile Learning Guides, and the Agile Learning Guides supports the learner in their learning process. Agile learning is characterized by 2 aspects: the performance problem and new learning formats. And Agile learning, learning in the VUCA world is considered as performance support, and primarily serves the purpose to solve problems, to solve challenges in your daily work rather than accumulating knowledge. And here we speak from learning and applying instead of learning and storing. After all, the actual purpose of Agile learning is to enable the employees to continuous improvement, or in other words, to do an awesome job. So, what is a performance problem? Think about a retrospective of your team, and there is one impediment. The team says, so we need automated tests, but we do not have an idea how we should do this. This is a typical performance problem. This team cannot do their work. They cannot perform. And the team maybe agree, yeah, we have Diana, the manual tester, and Max, the Java developer, and they should automate tests. But the problem is, they do not have any idea how to do this. In a traditional approach, Max and Diana would go to the learning management system, search for appropriate training, register for that, maybe get a confirmation that they can go for it, or maybe they come on a waiting list. In our Agile approach, we give Max and Diana the opportunity to create their own learning journey, their own learning experience, and to learn on their own pace along their own path. And if they want, we provide them with our Agile Learning Guides. Learning which should solve a performance problem has to be close to the workplace. All the other things are not so good. And therefore, to set up this our workplace academy and our Agile learning, therefore we need a blended learning approach. And when we talk about learning, this is the combination of different learning formats, online trainings, videos, reading books, reading blog posts, and so on. Then we switch from this learning event, from this one-time learning event. You know, next week on Wednesday, I have a 6 hours training for test automation, and then it's gone. We switch from this one-time learning event to a continuous learning process. And we are doing this on the workplace. We are doing this during the daily work. And as I said, the goal of the Workplace Academy is not to acquire certifications. The goal of the Workplace Academy is to solve the problems. So, and to set up all this Agile Workplace, the Agile Workplace Academy, and this initiative, we have created a learning architecture, a new learning architecture. This learning architecture we use also for DevOps, cloud, Agile engineering, and other stuff. And the pillars of our architectures are, in the first place, learning topics. For the Test and Test Automation Academy, for the Workplace Academy, we have here the topic Test Engineering. Then we have Test Automation Foundation. Then we have Test Automation Adapters. Test Automation Adapters are the things you want to automate. A web UI, an API, a desktop application, a mobile app, whatever. And then we have Test Automation Development. This is now Test Automation Development per adapter, per programming language. That means this could be test automation web UI with Java, with JavaScript, test automation for API with C#, whatever. Then we have subtopics. Yeah? And for instance, the test automation foundation consists of the subtopics test methods, test automation frameworks, and CI, CD, and DevOps. And then we have our learning elements. And the learning elements, these are our trainings. Yeah? And a learning element could be an e-learning course at Udemy, at Pluralsight, at LinkedIn, whatever. Yeah? It could be also an RBI training or a recording from an already delivered Go IT Academy training. It could be a blog, it could be a website, medium.com, for instance. A YouTube video, a one-to-one peer session with a colleague, with a learning expert, with a learning, with the learning guide. And then, of course, we have skill levels, you know, this basic, advanced, expert. And then we have our key element. And the key element in our architecture are learning journeys. A learning journey has a learning outcome, a competency which you want to achieve at the end of your learning journey. This is the learning outcome for our test and test automation stuff. At the end of a learning journey, the learner can develop automated basic tests with the given programming language, Java, for a given adapter, web UI, API, whatever. A learning journey has a beginning and an end, and it supports the learner to achieve his or her goal. And in practice, however, such an approach does not always do justice to the complexity of blended learning. Why? Because depending on the role and the competency of the learner, there can be different starting points, yeah, and different learning elements in this learning journey. But the impact is the same. Yeah? At the end of the learning journey, the learner, yeah, can solve his or her performance problem. And to handle this diversity, we have the last brick in our architecture, and this is a learning path. What is a learning path? A learning path is an individualized learning journey. Remember, Max and Diana have the same learning journey, but maybe different paths. And how this look like? Remember, this is Diana. Diana is a test engineer with no development skills and no test automation skills. And she should automate web UI tests with Java. So what would be their learning path? Diana would start with test automation foundation, then goes forwards to test automation adapters for web UI, and then forwards to Java, because she also had to learn Java. What Diana do not need is test engineering, because she is a tester. She knows everything about testing. Yeah. So, and now we have Max. Yeah. So the same learning journey, but another learning path. More or less. So no, sorry. Max, a Java developer with no testing skills and no test automation skills, should automate web UI tests with Java. More or less the same things as Diana, yeah, test automation foundation, test automation adapters, and then Java web UI. But Max has no idea about testing. That means Max starts with test engineering. And due to the fact that Max is a Java developer and knows everything about Java. Yeah, he do not need this Java learning element, as you can see in the left corner. Well, this was our learning architecture. And now I would like to show you an example. How does this work in real life together with an Agile Learning Guide? Of course, these learning journeys and this learning paths can also be executed by the learners without a guide. But that you see what is the concept behind the learning guide and how this Agile learning in a sprint works, we use this as an example. So let's start with learning guides. A learning guide supports the learners individually in their learning process. This is the coach for this person, yeah, only for the topic of learning. In addition, the guide supports also the company in implementing this new approach. As an example, together with 2 of my colleagues, currently I'm working with 8 of our network units to implement this Agile learning approach. The learning guide helps the learner in the planning phase of the learning process. The learning guide provides assistance in setting clear, precise learning goals and to formulate these goals. And the learning guide ensures the provisioning of learning content that fits to the learning objectives. And if necessary, he will also organize learning groups, scoping groups, and so on. And during this, and the learning guides will be supported by so-called learning experts. These are the experts for a given topic, if the learning guide do not has this knowledge. So, and in the first step, the learning guide discuss together with the learner the performance problem, and then they talk about the learning budget in hours per week. That means how many hours per week you can spend in learning. And this is learning on the job. This is more or less learning during your 38.5 hours per week. And we talk about other boundaries to set up the learning sprint. And the outcome is a learning epic. And this is the learning epic for Diana. As you can see, we define in this epic the current skills. We define what we want to achieve, what should be the outcome, and we define how this impact is visible. And we are using this format to make the impact measurable. Yeah, we create acceptance criteria with that. Acceptance criteria for learning. And this learning epic goes then also into the backlog of the product. Yeah, because this is then learning is then part of the software development sprint. What is the time? Okay. So in the second step, then the learning guide selects together with the learner the learning elements based on the learning journey from our learning portfolio. And here we define the learning path, and we store this in the learning backlog. Our learning portfolio for test and test automation is currently an Excel sheet with more than 500 learning elements. 95% of them are free of charge. The most expensive, what we currently have used is a 29 euro training for Udemy, Java, and Cucumber. This portfolio will be maintained by the learning guides, by the learning and the learning experts. And what you can see here is we define the learning package. So what is the outcome? Then we have the title of this learning element. Then if it is selected for the backlog or not, and then in which learning sprint it will be executed. Then the most important thing is the link to the learning element, and then you can see here the efforts and the costs. So here you see a learning backlog from a Python developer from a data warehouse team. He started with Python, so more or less on the as a greenfield guy. As you can see, these were 3-4 week sprints, around 35 learning elements, learning effort 54 hours, transfer tasks. We will later talk about transfer tasks, and the costs, 20 euro. Transfer tasks. And then the next step is that we define transfer tasks, and transfer tasks are an important concept and key to learning on the workplace. Transfer tasks, what we are doing here is we define task, daily challenges from their daily work, and then they should use these new competencies, these new skills, in working on these transfer tasks. You are learning by doing. Remember the 70-20-10%, these are the 70%. Well, and then after the planning, what we have, 3 minutes left, okay? And after the planning, the self-directed learning phase, the learning sprint starts, in which the goal is from the learner to implement the transfer tasks, not to read the learning elements. Maybe he or she is using the learning elements to do their job. That means to work on the transfer tasks. And during the learning sprint, the learner acts on his own. There is no manager, no Scrum Master who tells him, and now you have to do this, and now you have to do this. Self-organized training on the workplace. In any case, the learning guide has, the learner has always the possibility to talk to the learning guides, to the learning experts, and so on, if there is a question or if he or she needs to discuss something. Yes, and then at the end of a learning sprint, we have a learning sprint review. And here is the goal that the learner shows the team what he or she has created in transfer tasks. So this is not about to say, and I did this, and I have learned this, and I have learned this. This is where the person shows, so how he has created impact to the team. So, and then the last step, of course, is a retrospective. And of course, we have the usual 3 questions. What went well? What went wrong? What we want to achieve. But we have an additional question, which is the most important one regarding learning. And this is, have you learned something new that you can use in your daily work? And if the answer is no, then more or less we have a problem. And we have to solve this, and then we change the next learning sprint. Maybe the content, maybe the goal, whatever. So I'm at the end of my presentation. One slide. So we learned a lot during the last 2 to 3 years. I show you now the 3 most important lessons learned. Number 1, there is no one size fits all. In Agile learning, the aim is to give the learner as much freedom and autonomy for the learning process. not each type of learning approach works for each learner. Remember, we have 6 different learning formats. Lack of metacognitive skills. I like this word. Yeah. So Agile learning combines self-organization and self-directed learning. And this requires special metacognitive skills since here now the learner has to take over tasks which in the former approach was done by the trainers, by the seminar leaders, and so on. And then dedicated learning time. Yeah. So take care that you give your learners really the time, yeah, that they can learn something. We found out the best thing is that we use time in the calendar, dedicated learning time. Yeah, and now we have no meeting Wednesdays and learning Fridays, for instance. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm done with 1 minute 44 seconds. Yeah, more. These are my contact data. So, if you have questions, then now is the time.